Well, hello, everybody. Happy Monday. I hope that you are doing well today. I know we're moving into fall right now. It's hard to imagine that summer is virtually gone. But along with fall comes, I don't know, a sense of getting cozy and being in community and learning about new things. And so on the broadcast today, I have Lila Perry. We're going to talk about cancer and health in general and ways that we can really realign ourselves when things are a little bit challenging. So thank you so much for being on the program. Lila, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm delighted because this is such an important conversation. There are people that are diagnosed with cancer on a very regular basis. I'm sure it came very much to a surprise to you. Would you mind sharing with everybody, a little bit about your background, who you are, and really your experiences so far? Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm Lila Perry, grew up on the island, been here forever, love it. And growing up, I just loved baking and cooking. And so I started a little bakery in Ladysmith. Then I progressed and then I owned Perkins Coffee Company downtown Nanaimo. Then I moved my bakery to Nanaimo. And I thought I was being great, feeding everybody all the sugar and the flour. And I
All the
didn't
good
realize
stuff.
I was slowly killing them. God forsake. Anyways, my weight goes up and down with all of this. And then I sold Perkins a number of years ago and just sort of moved on to different things. It's all I'd ever done, it's all I knew how to do. So then, um, moving along with all of that, in I would say December 2023, I was in the kitchen and I ate a piece of chicken and it got stuck in my esophagus. I thought, oh my God, I've swallowed a great big piece of chicken. What am I going to do? And I'm looking out the window and I'm thinking, okay, are there any neighbors around? Do I call 911? What do I do? And I kept trying to choke it up, and nothing was happening. So I was starting to panic. Next thing you know, I managed to get this piece of chicken up, and I thought, boy, I must have been hungry. I need to slow down here. Well, it continued to happen. So I went to the doctor, and he told me maybe I had acid reflux, I had GERD, which I didn't. And I told him I didn't, but he put me on medication. I said, I don't have acid reflux. I don't have GERD. So he did book me in for a scope, but he told me that it would take approximately 8 to 10 weeks to get in. This continually happened. I'm choking on my food. I'm afraid to eat. So I went back to him and I said, there is something definitely wrong. And this was after the 10-week mark. And I said, I need to get in to see the gastroenterology guy. And I was booked in within a couple of days. I was over in Vancouver on the Friday, and Dr. Huey Chia called me and he said, Lila, I'm sorry to tell you, you have esophageal cancer.
Oh my.
I tell you, I was sitting on the bed, I was slowly tipping over, like my head was just in shock. I felt like I had just jumped off a 30-story building and smashed my head into the pavement. I couldn't believe it. So then, in that instant, I thought about my kids, thought about my grandkids, and I thought about my partner, Fred. And then I said to him, am I going to be okay?
Yeah.
And he said, Lila, I believe you will because we've caught it early. Okay, now I'm able to sit up again and catch my breath. And Fred said to me, he said, should we go home? What would you like to do?
Yeah.
I said, no, we're finishing out the weekend. We're having a good time because this is not going to get me down.
Yeah.
And then also, I knew that it was going to be worse than what I was anticipating because a surgeon had called that morning to book me in for surgery. And what are we doing surgery for? So I knew it was probably bad. And I'd also done the research on esophageal cancer, and it's not good. And they tell me that it's quite rare, but through my research and the people I know, it's not as rare now is what people think. So I did the chemo, I did the radiation, I did 5 weeks driving to Victoria and back. Never once got sick. Didn't feel anything. I was perfectly fine. My hair sure fell out and hit the floor for one thing.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember.
but I thought, okay, if this is the worst thing that's going to happen, I can do this.
Yeah.
Well, on the Saturday after the chemo and radiation, I got hit by a bus. I ended up with blood clots in my lungs. I had pneumonia.
Oh
Back
dear.
to the hospital I go. And so for the longest period of time, it was sort of up and down, up and down. And I was having my surgery on May the 7th or May the 9th, 2023. So everything clears up. I get ready for that. I do the surgery. It's all supposed to be laparoscopy. And I just thought, I'm going to be perfectly fine here.
Yeah.
Well, I woke up after that surgery and I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. An artery got clipped,
Oh
just it was
no.
just an accident. So the laparoscopy surgery turned out to be a scar running under my right breast, around and under my arm, and up my back.
Oh my God.
And I tell you, I thank God for that surgeon being so quick and
Yes.
knowing what to do, that I will thank that man forever.
Of
I
course, it
really,
saved
really
your
will.
life. For all intents
Yeah,
and purposes, he absolutely saved your life.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So then going through all of this, I kept looking around and I kept thinking, there's so many people here. There's so many people getting chemo and radiation. It was just like a little factory in there. And I thought, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like I was in shock. So my 6 day stay in the hospital turned into 14. And then I finally get home. I've got feeding tubes. I got this, I got that, losing more weight every day. But I'm still determined. I'm getting through this and nobody's going to stop me. I
Yes.
thank God for my family, my friends, my kids, my grandkids. Everybody kept supporting my sisters. I'm so lucky in that respect. But at the same time, you come home, you're on the couch a lot, you don't feel well. My blood pressure was really, really low. I'm falling over, passed out in the garden, like
Oh
all
dear.
kinds of things. And but I keep bouncing back. And then I fell over in the bathroom one day because of the low blood pressure.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
I broke my ankle.
Oh my gosh.
So the ambulance has to come pick me up off the floor. Thank God my daughter-in-law is a carrot. She was really good with me, thank God. And the kids were so excited because they wanted to see the ambulance come and the lights
Of
and
course.
sirens.
They're not
Yeah,
looking
they
at
thought it
us
was
being an
awesome.
urgent thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's something wonderful about grandkids
yeah.
in that regard for
So
sure.
honestly, I
Yeah.
spent a lot of time on the couch and flicking through the channels, and I started watching different podcasts on cancer and health and functional medicine and the food that we're eating. And I was just mesmerized by it, absolutely mesmerized, and thinking, we've got to change this. We've got to change it
Right.
because
Yeah.
the medical system cannot keep up with what's happening. I would go to the hospital because I had food stuck in my esophagus. I would sit there for 8 to 10 to 12 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
There was nothing they could do. They are doing their best. They
So
absolutely are.
was it affecting your breathing? I mean, obviously you knew that there was something that was not quite right when the chicken is getting caught and other food is getting
Right.
caught. But you said that you didn't feel things like the GERD, the acid
No,
indigestion or any of those
no,
kinds of things. Just
nothing.
all of a sudden the food was stuck.
It was just stuck right in my chest.
Yeah,
And then you can't even swallow your own saliva. It
of course.
hurts. It's
It
painful.
hurts. Yeah.
Yeah. You can still breathe.
Mhm.
And honestly, at first, you think you're going to die
Yeah.
and you're going to choke to death, but it's not that way. You can still breathe.
Yeah.
So now what you're doing is just sitting there for 12 hours, spitting your saliva into a little bag.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I mean, everybody is looking at you.
Yeah.
But you know what? It is what it is. And so for people that this is happening to, it's devastating. It's
Of course.
devastating.
Yeah, 1,000%.
And
And
you're
you're
afraid to
right.
eat.
There are more and more people that are finding themselves, in medical offices taking chemotherapy, having to go through
Yes.
the processes. The numbers are staggering. And I don't know whether it's an environmental. It sounds like you've been doing some research on some of these things. And what have been some of your findings?
Honestly, it's the environment,
Yeah,
it's the chemicals,
yeah,
it's the glyphosades, it's what we're putting in our foods. And
yeah.
everybody is so busy and they can't think straight half the time. They're working two jobs to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Everybody's running around. You go to the grocery store and they're buying boxes and boxes of processed food.
Of course,
Well,
it's easy, right?
it's
It's easy, and
it's
people
not
are
food.
struggling with time, but it's not food.
It's not
Not food.
food.
Yeah,
And the wording on the packaging is deceptive.
yeah,
Very, very deceptive. People need proper nutrition to stay healthy. They need to keep their microbiome working and flowing when it comes to heart disease, when it comes to type 2 diabetes, when it comes to any of these situations.
mhm,
It's true. You are what you eat. You
yeah,
really, really are. But
yeah,
it's hard because even the affordability of good, fresh, honest food, and then being able to spend the time to make it.
yeah.
But it's huge. It's
Yeah, I,
huge.
I agree. I know that diet has a lot to do with some of the ailments that we are experiencing now,
Yeah.
especially when we have over-processed foods. But you're absolutely right. There are so many people that are working 2 and 3 jobs that are,
Yeah.
trying to make ends meet. The economy is certainly not where it needs to be. I know that there's hope at the end of the tunnel, but it's not going to come in the near future.
No,
And that's
taking
why
a
you're
long time.
seeing a huge amount of people that are going now for food security reasons to food banks to try to find, ways to supplement. And even
Right.
at that, the food that's coming in just isn't really doing the job. It's not nutritious at all. You were saying
Right.
offline just before we had gotten into the conversation that through this process you were watching your weight, drop, drop, drop. It had been prior to that as a baker, right? Up and down and up and down, right? Was the change in your weight one of the symptoms that you experienced in having this esophageal cancer, or
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
I mean, that's a really hard way to lose weight.
it really is.
But people just need to stop eating all the processed foods. They need to stop eating the sugar. They need to stop eating all the carbs. And if people would just do that, they would see their weight drop instantly. It,
Yeah.
it just, it comes off. And now I have to eat all the time just to try and put weight back on.
Mhm.
Never in my life did I ever think I needed to try and put on a pound, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I got as
Well, whatever
skinny as
you
well.
lose, I find. So I just want you to know that, right?
Well, it used to jump on me really fast. Even if I looked at a cookie, it was jumping on me.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's everything. It's in our makeup, it's in our hair products, it's in our soap, it's in our shampoo.
Mhm.
Those chemicals are in everything. And
Mhm.
people don't stop to realize. Like I could talk to someone and they could say, "Oh, I eat really healthy," and everybody tells me I'm going down the rabbit hole. Well, I'm going down the rabbit hole and I'm staying there because I'm just passionate about it. So I can look in their cupboards and I can see the food that they're eating and even milk products like whipping cream in their fridge. You can
Mhm.
buy whipping cream that is whipping cream, or you can buy the whipping cream and cream, but it has guar gum and carrageenan gum. There's other ingredients in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Always, always check your labels. It's so, so, so important. It really
So
is.
So now that you're on the other side, right? You're on the
Yes.
other side of the cancer piece of it.
Yeah.
You are really, acutely aware of what's going on with diet.
Yes. Yes.
How are you finding, like, what is it that you're seeing as far as, for lack of better words, I don't want to say trends because it's not a trend, but the people that you're meeting and that you're talking to about cancer, have you seen that there are some some key elements that are, indicative to everybody that experiences cancer in the people that you've met? For example, whether it's dairy or whether it's a type of food or whether it's environmental, does there seem to be a chain of things that people are experiencing that are similar up until when they get their diagnosis? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But you know what? Everybody is an individual
Of course.
and they have their individual food things. Like some people can't drink milk, some people can't eat this, some people are allergic to nuts. So
Mhm.
everybody has their own symptoms. Everybody has to, I think more than anything, we all need to be our own advocate. Find
Agreed.
out what works for us, what doesn't work for us, and then be diligent. I mean, you can get information from anywhere. You can look online, you can go to ChatGPT, you can ask all the questions,
Mhm.
but there's so many different types of cancer
Yeah.
and the way people react to it, the way they react to the chemo. Some people get sick, some people don't. Some people could be smokers their whole entire lives and drink till oblivion and nothing ever goes wrong. I was never a drinker. I smoked in my early teens, but I was never a drinker. I was never a smoker. I was a sugar addict, carb addict,
Mhm.
like I love food. I love making it. So everybody is their own individual self.
Yeah.
But where I saw a lot of problems coming through all of this, you're told you have cancer. You think, oh my goodness, I'm like, you just think I'm going to die. I
Yeah.
am going to die.
Yeah.
And then you're sort of left to yourself for a while. And there's not a whole lot of support. You know, BC Cancer is amazing. The hospitals are amazing. The oncologists are. But I went into the oncology department and they gave me a pamphlet and they say, I've got to keep my weight on and I should be eating creme brulee and ice cream. Well, that sounded really good to me,
Of course.
but was it
Yeah.
healthy for me?
No, not at
So
all.
everybody has to pick and choose what they're going to do and how they're going to do it.
So I want to talk about that, from a psychological perspective, because you're quite right. People have, for many people who've known me for many years know that a large proportion of my family, minus, I think my sister and myself the only of my generation are the only living relatives left, as I understand it.
Oh my.
We've all died from cancer at various different cancers, various different times, right? Most of my family hasn't lived beyond early 70s. In fact, they
Oh.
are usually gone by the end of their 60s for sure.
Mm.
So, I've been around it a lot. And what I've seen is very true, what you've just said. For every person that I've sat with, I've got cancer, I'm gonna die. And
Yeah.
that process of trying to come out of that phase of I'm not going to let this get to me, right? There are some people that are very, very determined in my family. I can't speak for the community, but from in my own family, where it was, how much time do I have? Tell me how
Yeah.
much time I have. I want to know, as though the oncologist or our general practitioners are God and they're able to actually magically say on November the 12th, 2 years from now, your
Yeah.
expiry date is right at the bottom of the shoe. And so I think, when we are trying to wrap our heads, and many of the listeners that we have right now could very well have cancer and are
Yes.
going through those psychological pieces, and they're trying to figure out what are some of the things that helped you walk the day to day in those early months and days of going through treatment and healing and all of that.
Well, to tell you the truth, I've always sort of been a background person. And even in my business, I wanted to be in the back. I didn't want to be up front.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to put myself out there too much. And I look at other people now that are being diagnosed with cancer and they're doing the blogs, they're doing this, they're ringing the bell, all of that. I just said to my family, okay, we're going through this. I'm going
Yeah.
to be just fine. I don't want to see any tears. And if anybody puts anything on Facebook, I'll probably kill you. And I,
Understood. Yeah.
yeah, I wished I'd shouted it from the rooftops, to tell you the truth. And
Yeah.
then when I finished my chemo and radiation, you're supposed to ring the bell, and I didn't want to. For some reason, I just wanted to be in the background. And now thinking back, I wished I'd rang the heck out of
But
that
you still
bell.
can. You can still ring the bell really,
Yeah,
really hard, even if
jump
you're,
up and down.
yeah,
But everybody goes through their own phase.
yeah.
And
What was holding you back from sharing that though? Why did you want to stay in the background? Was it fear?
I don't
Was it, oh my God? Was it wrapping your head around the situation? What do you think it was that
You know
actually,
what? I honestly don't know. I've just always been a private person,
yeah,
and I've never put my emotions out there. And I mean, through this whole thing, you'd barely see me cry. My daughter saw a lot. My daughter stayed with me that whole entire time in the hospital, and there was a lot of ups and downs. One minute you're crying, one minute you're laughing your guts out and wetting your pants. And it's almost like, how can I even be laughing? Like I've been diagnosed with cancer, and, but some of it was pretty hilarious. And I can look back on it and go, it all happened for a reason. I'm
yeah,
not fully sure what that reason is, but I believe that I have some knowledge and I want to share it with people.
yeah,
I really,
absolutely.
really do. So the only way I'm going to do it is by getting out front and saying, this is what happened, and this is what we all need to do. And we all need to work together um, to talk and try and understand what's going on. But if you haven't sat in an emergency room, or if you haven't been in a chemotherapy ward or any, you just don't know.
Yeah,
And so now when I see people, when someone says, oh, they have cancer, I tell you, it hits me right down to my soul. It really, really does.
yeah.
And then there was one particular time I was scrolling the TV, watching the news, and they did an interview. And you may know this woman. You might have interviewed her. And her name is Lonnie Atwood. She was diagnosed with adrenal cortical carcinoma. And
Mm,
she went through the same sort of situation that I did. Like there just wasn't a whole lot of help. But the thing with her is her outcome was not good with this. It just wasn't.
yeah.
Thank God for her attitude. I mean, she's got the best attitude and she just gets back out there because they gave her a lifespan of, I think, 8 to 12 months. And she said, no
Wow.
way, this is not happening to me. She's got two boys at home. She
Yep, not
needs to
many
care
days
for
have
them.
not happened. Yep, I get it.
And you know what? 3.5 years down the road, she's still fighting hard. She
Yeah.
really, really is.
I haven't
But I
interviewed her,
connected
but I
with her.
sure would like to. So that's hopefully if you can hear this, if you're enjoying this program, I'd love to hook up with her. That would be a
She's
wonderful
lovely.
conversation. You
She's
know,
lovely.
it's true though. Everyone's experience is very different, but I do notice that there are some strings. A lot of women, particularly, we lose our hair, right?
Yep.
Which is a very much a part. Our manes are so much a part of who we are. Uh,
Yes.
how was that experience for you when you were going through the true chemotherapy side effects, which are nasty, nasty side effects?
They are nasty. You know what? My whole life, everybody's always talked about my head of beautiful curly hair.
Yeah, beautiful hair.
And it's the first thing that anybody says. And then now it's totally gray, 100% gray. And it's because I'm not putting chemicals on my hair. I'm not dyeing it. I'm not anything. So when it all falls on the floor and you're looking at yourself in the mirror, it's kind of shocking.
Yeah, yeah.
But you you just have to keep going. The whole entire experience was almost like an out of body experience.
I'm sure.
It's like you're looking at it, but you can't believe that it's happening to you. And then people would say to me, don't you wish this would have happened to somebody else? Absolutely not. Don't even go there. I don't wish this on
On anyone.
anybody,
Yeah,
on
no kidding.
anybody.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard. It's hard on you, it's hard on your family, it's hard on your friends, it's hard all the way around.
I'm
So,
I'm glad you brought up friends because many of my friends have also are survivors of breast cancer, a few of them in the last few years. I watched one of my very, very best friends. Uh, you know, there's a group of us, there's about five of us in our little group. And especially during COVID, we would meet once a week, every Sunday night. We'd have a glass of wine, have a chat, catch up with each other. And what was interesting is out of that group, three of the five of us had experienced breast cancer. And
okay.
so when my friend became the fourth of the five, it was really great in that we were able to truly rally around her and give her the tips and the tricks and
Yes.
and asked her whether this test was being done or that person that, was being done. And I remember when she lost her hair, how she, this is a woman who goes to work out every day. She's at the gym all the time. You
Hmm.
know, she's in her mid 70s now. She looks absolutely amazing. And when it was all said and done, when her beautiful hair was growing back, it was coming back like a little pixie cut. And it was the
Yeah.
cutest out. It looked so lovely on her. And we all loved it. But I remember the emotional pieces to that. I remember when the first chunk of hair came out into her brush. And I remember that real sense of who am I now? Who am I
Yes.
now? You know? Um,
Yes.
it sounds like you can resonate a little bit with that.
Yes, I absolutely can. I don't know what it was though that I didn't really want to go out in public with a bald head. I
She
would
didn't
wear
like
my scarf or I'd put my wig on. But
it.
then my family started saying to me, Mom, that's just not you. It's
Yeah.
not you. What do you like? Just put it out there. That's the way it is. So it took me
Did
a
the
while
same.
to
We did the
actually
same
get
with
to that
her.
point.
Yeah.
And then now, I don't think I would have even bought in the wig. I don't think I would have even wore the headpieces. But I was afraid to shave off all those little bits and pieces that were hanging. It was like I was holding on to them for dear life for some reason. I should have just shaved it off and carried on.
Well, hindsight's always 2020 when we say we should have done something for sure. But I think that there must have there's an emotional connection. It's yours.
Yeah.
It's your hair, it's your body, right?
Yes.
And I know for my friend, it was very much the same. It was she
Yeah.
didn't want to go out in public as much. She did wear, she had a very cute tunic that she would wear when it was because it was cold
Yes.
outside, right? So she would really notice it when the weather changed, beyond the aesthetics of it.
Right.
Um, like you, she had a great wig, but honestly, she almost never wore it because it really wasn't who she was, right? And
Yes.
I think that when you're diagnosed with something so horrific, you are going to fight that. You're going to say, this isn't who I am, and that's part of the healing is to push that off.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, anytime we look back on something, I think it's very easy to say, well, I wish I'd done that, or I should have done this, or I should have done that. But I think when you're in the moment, it's really hard to make those, what should I do? Because there's
Yes.
so much emotion that's being processed along with the physical pain. And I know my friend was in a lot of pain for a number of occasions where she,
Yes.
couldn't get out of bed and all of those things. So, and cancer is an ugly, ugly, ugly thing to have. It is different for
Yes.
everybody, but it is painful for many.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think as well with me because they cut my whole esophagus out. So I can eat very little food at any one time. I don't have a sphincter, it's gone. So, say if I drank something and then I bent over, my drink's on the floor because it all just comes out.
So did they
Um,
replace it when they had the operation? Yeah, like just to understand esophagus
okay.
cancer better. You had mentioned that there was a growth, right? So when you say
Yes.
that they removed that, I because of the way that our esophagus is, that is that tube that takes us down into our stomach.
Yes.
with that missing, did they graft something to create some kind of a makeshift esophagus, or how did they
Well, what
process
they did was they pulled my stomach up. So my stomach looks like a big sausage coming up. Most people, they have their esophagus that goes down,
that?
and then they've got their stomach that holds their food. But
Yeah,
with me, it doesn't hold very much.
yeah.
And so you eat very little at any one time. Otherwise, you're in pain or it's coming back out.
Oh, good.
So you just learn to deal with that. And if this is what the price I have to pay for still being here, I'm going with it. Like it's
Yeah,
all
for sure.
good. Yeah.
For sure, for sure.
So, you have to change some of the food that you eat. I can't drink pop. I have a hard time with breads and pastas. They just don't seem to go down too well. And if I eat something, I can't drink anything at the same time. So if
Mm,
I'm going to eat, I don't drink anything for half an hour to an hour before, and then I can't drink for an hour to an hour and a half after. It just, it's painful if I do. And
no kidding.
then what happens is it moves through my system too quickly, and then you're in a lot of pain. So it's
Yes.
just learning to deal with your new digestive system. And it's like someone that's had gastric bypass or something. It's just a new rerouting, and you have to learn to work with it.
So when as you're processing your food, because we've been talking a little bit earlier about the nutritional pieces of things, for
Yes,
some people who have digestive issues, they're not pulling the nutrition out of the food because there's a base problem within their system. So,
yes,
in your case, I mean, obviously you're choosing foods that are very dense in nutrition, right?
yes,
Uh,
yes,
but how are you able to, I mean, was it just trial and error of what you could eat or what you couldn't eat, or were you like,
yes.
what did that look like for you?
Yes, it's absolutely been trial and error.
Yeah.
I don't do too well, say, if someone wants to have a steak.
Mhm,
I have a hard time with it going down. I'm better off with soups or stew, things
mhm.
that are a bit more soft, yogurts and my fruit and berries, my nuts and seeds. But I have to chew everything really, really well. Otherwise, you've got problems. And I don't know why this is, but I can feel everything right from the very start, right down to the finish. It's just
Wow.
this weird sensation. And then sometimes I'll be sitting there, the food will go down, but then it just stops.
Mhm.
And you're waiting for it to kind of move. And it's almost like there's an air pocket or something, and it's just sitting there. And so
Mhm.
then you're getting more pain. Um, it's just quite a different sensation when you're eating now.
Yeah, for sure.
And I've learned to really enjoy my food again. Before, I was actually afraid of it. I just was like, I don't want this. I would have stayed on the feeding tube, but that's not very pleasant either.
No,
So
for
it's just
sure.
adjusting to the new norm of what's really going on.
So this only happened to you a couple of years ago, right? This
Yes,
is all still very, very new, I
yes.
suspect. And did you wake up one morning after a lot of much of this had passed and say, "Oh, I'm starting to feel normal again"? And what was that like for you?
There's been a couple of times where I felt normal, but then you get kicked in the butt again.
Yeah.
A lot of people that have had esophageal cancer, and I think as well people that have had gastric bypasses, there's something that's called dumping syndrome, where
Oh,
your food moves through your intestines too quickly. And so it's almost like you have a blood sugar drop. I could
right.
be perfectly fine sitting here talking to you, and then all of a sudden I feel strange in my head, my hands start to shake. I start sweating profusely. Find me a couch, like right now. I got to lay down.
Yeah.
And then my lips will all go numb. And
Mm,
you just need to stop. But it's because of the sudden movement going through your stomach. And, I haven't pinpointed why that happens. I have two other friends that have had esophageal cancer, same as I have, and they've got the same big scar down the back like I do, and they get dumping syndrome. And, one gentleman, he's passed out a couple of times because of it. They don't know really why it's caused. I've checked, I've looked, I've researched. It's just sort of something that happens. And then it might take an hour or two and I can kind of get going again. But other times I'm out for the whole day. I just, my energy is gone. I can barely brush my teeth. It's just the strangest thing.
Yeah.
So I've had all these different ups and downs. Some days I'm thinking, okay, I'm good. I've gotten over this. I'm doing everything right. I'm taking care of myself. I'm eating properly. And then boom, something else happens. So there's been a
Yeah.
lot of ups and downs. But
Yeah.
as well, after the chemo and radiation and after the surgery, they put me onto immunotherapy.
Mm.
And immunotherapy is I think it's the next latest and greatest thing. But for some reason, it didn't work for me. So I would get it once a month. I would go in, and it's like you're hooked up like you're doing chemo, but you feel nothing. You go home, your hair doesn't fall out or anything like that. And what it does is it tries to get your own system working again.
Mm.
And plus, it gives you a higher percentage of not a relapse of cancer again, which is sign me up. Um, but I just kept saying, I don't feel well. I don't feel well. And it turns out all my blood levels went out of whack. And you have a CRP, which is a C-reactant profile, and that looks at the inflammation in your body. Normally, a person, I think, average 2 to 5, maybe 6. Mine went up to 180.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they got me off the immunotherapy, and now I'm on prednisone.
Mm.
Well, I tell you, that's quite the drug. You're laying there at night, you're wide awake. It was like my brains were coming back again because for the longest time, it was like I was in a fog and I couldn't think straight. Or there's another thing I get where I could be sitting here talking to you. All of a sudden, I get this strange sensation. And then I know what I want to say, but my words are coming out backwards.
Hmm.
And it's the same thing. It's like somebody that's having an insulin response or, their sugar has dropped, whatever it is. And then I just stop talking and wait for it to go away. And that has to do with that dumping syndrome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then, I went on the prednisone for a while. They weaned me off of that and they wanted me to go back onto the immunotherapy because they said sometimes the second round works a lot better. Well,
Hmm.
I think I did one stent with that and back to the hospital I went. I've got pneumonia and I got COVID. And
Oh
here I
gosh.
thought, boy, I'm never
Yes.
getting COVID. But of course, I got that one too.
Oh
So
my.
I think I spent another week in the hospital with that. And
Yeah.
then before you know it, I'm back on track and I'm out doing everything that I could possibly do.
Yeah.
I don't have the energy and the stamina that I did because I was a strong, strong person. I really, really was. Now it's like I feel like I'm a weakling. I really do.
Well, you're
And I'm
definitely
going
not.
again.
I mean, in all fairness, you paid your dues, that's for certain.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry that the immunotherapy doesn't work. For those people that watch my show and listen
right.
to the show all the time, they know that I've been on immunotherapy, biologics for a long time. They've saved my
Really?
life. Prednisone, I was one of those people that was on prednisone, 150 milligrams a day.
Wow.
I was on them for 2 years. My head, you couldn't tell the difference between where my head is and where my shoulders are. If you
Oh
go
my
back
goodness.
and look on previous old episodes, you just see this great big pumpkin head.
Oh,
I've been down that road for a very, very long time. And for
wow.
me, it worked, but and I really do attribute biologics to saving my life, but not everyone, it doesn't work for everyone, right? It
Right.
works for lots and lots of people and for
Yes.
different things.
Yes.
Having said that, I know that the big part of my recovery has always been the fact that this isn't my disease. It's a part of who I am, yes, but it isn't who I am.
Yes,
I can
exactly.
see that in you. I can feel feel that in you and I can hear that in you. And I'm curious where that came from. Where did your get up and go, I'm not going to let this take me? Where did that come from? And how do you keep going?
I've always had it
Yeah,
right from a very young age. I could write a book on the history of what happened to me and all the nuances there, but it would take me days. And
understood.
people say sometimes, like, how do you do it? How do you do it?
Mm,
I have children, I have grandchildren.
yeah.
And to be quite honest, even after all of this, I'm really happy. I'm just
Yes.
happy to be here.
Yes.
I think my biggest thing is I'm worried about everybody else now.
Yeah.
So, what happened in those dark moments as I'm sitting on the couch and thinking I'm going to die, because there was many a time where the ambulance showed up here.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
And, but through all of that, I kept thinking, what can I do? How can I help? What can I do? How can I help? And here's another story. I was 10 years old, and I'll probably cry when I say this. I was 10 years old, come from a very large family, but lots of nuances there. My uncle was married to my mom's very best friend. They had three little girls. My mom and dad had three little girls. We played together all the time, like every birthday, every holiday, we were all together. And one morning, my dad walked into my bedroom. I was 10 years old. All three of my sisters and I, we were all in the same room. And he said, your uncle's house burnt down last night.
Oh
And
my
my
Lord.
aunt and those three little girls died in that fire.
Oh my God.
It was horrendous. It was horrendous. And it was almost like they were never spoken about again.
Yeah.
Nobody ever spoke about them. There was never a picture on the wall. I have probably thought about my aunt and those three girls every day of my life. My uncle carried on. He remarried a number of years down the road, had two boys, and I'm 66, so that was a long time ago that happened. But every day I've thought about it, every day.
Yeah.
And then what happened was my girlfriend, Kim, she lost her granddaughter a number of years ago in a very tragic accident. Little Jaden Amon. As a family, they were playing out in a field, and a goalpost came down and hit her on the head,
Oh,
and she lost her life. And I just thought, this is just so tragic for that family. Tragic. And so thinking about that, thinking about cancer, thinking about health, thinking about Lonnie, I just wanted to help in whatever way I could. I wanted to raise money to be able to help. So I've started a foundation, a nonprofit, and it's called Ripple Effects for Health and Wellness.
mhm.
And, through all of my confusion with my drug dope mind and everything, I kept thinking, how can I do this? How can I do this? How can I do this? And then um, it was after Christmas, not last Christmas, but the Christmas before. Um, my son phones me and he said, Mom, something terrible's happened. And I thought, oh my God, I can't deal with anything terrible. And it turns out that same family lost their son.
Oh, no, oh my God.
So that same family has lost two of their children. I think it was 11 years apart. So Parker was riding his riding lawnmower. He was so excited, and he was going down the hill and he collided with a truck and he lost his life. So
Hmm.
here this family has lost two of their precious children. And all I could think about was the family that I had lost and my cousins that I missed so much, and thinking, what would they have been doing? Who would they have turned out to be? And I went to Parker's service. There was over 2,000 people there. Like, it was just unbelievable, the
Phenomenal.
amount of people that came out to that. And the devastation to this family is just huge. So one day, my grandson and I, we were sitting here because my grandson goes to that high school, and all the kids are wearing the purple bracelets in honor of Parker, and they have Hawaiian Shirt Day in honor of Parker, and there's a bench out there in honor of Parker. And I thought, I want to include these two children in with ripple effects because I don't want anybody to ever forget them.
Of
I
course.
want their little faces out there. I
Yeah.
want people to remember them. And I want them to be a part of this so that we can raise money to help people that are in need. So my grandson and I came up with this idea and we did a toonie challenge.
Ah, I
And
love it.
we challenged everybody on Vancouver Island to donate a toonie. And then we had a bunch of merchants downtown donate prizes and gifts. And we did this out at the high school out in Cedar. And we had a little parade. We had some hot rod cars and motorbikes and fire trucks and police engines, everything. And we raised $6,700 that day.
Wow.
So now
Congratulations.
with that money, 20% of that money goes into the bursary at the school in honor of Parker to keep his name out there. And then the rest of the money, I want to help people like Lonnie that need alternative therapies because BC Cancer, they can't do more for her. She needs alternative therapies. Or say, for instance, somebody needs to go to Vancouver so that they can get a CT scan 6 months sooner. Like, we need to raise money. So if everybody just supported Ripple Effects for Health and Wellness, give us a toonie, donate it once a month, donate us $50. If everybody just did a little bit,
It will
I
go a
think
long
we could
way.
accomplish a lot.
So before we go any further, Lila, because I always try to get our listeners to grab a piece of paper and a pen because I think that's
Okay.
important, right? So I'm just going to take a quick station break. For those of you who have just tuned in, I'm so glad that you did. I'm so hoping that you're enjoying the conversation with Lila Perry as much as I am. I think that there's something wonderful about it when we come together and we find solutions to help people that are really struggling, going
Yes.
through these kinds of things. It is so, so important. So thank you so much for tuning in. Go grab yourself a piece of paper and a pen so you can find out how you can get in touch with Lila. And in the meantime, I just want to remind everybody that we are back on television. Our new season has started. Season 5 of Act 3 is on Rogers Cable 4, Vancouver Island wide from tip to tip. You can watch us 4 times a day. We only film it once, so it's a repeat 4 times a day, but nonetheless, it's there. Also enjoy us on our other platforms such as iHeartRadio, Spotify, and of course our YouTube channel. Please do, if you find this inspiring, I invite you to like and subscribe. It just helps our channel to grow so that we can offer more for the community. And remember that everything that's happening with Act 3 is all 100% volunteer. Nobody gets anything for any of this work. So it is important that we just share the message right in the community. And of course, that's why you listen to CHLY 101.7 FM. We will be doing our annual fundraisers coming up. So if you've got $5, we'd love for you to think about putting it towards CHLY 101.7 FM so that we can keep this station and shows like mine up and out there for all of our community members on Vancouver Island. So please consider us in your giving this season. Also, I really want you to take down the information regarding to ripple effects for health and wellness, because I think that if you follow the Toonie Challenge and you're able to support, you might just help somebody who really needs an extra little bit of help in our community. So let's really think about that as well. I know sometimes I ask us to think about things for dollars. I know that we can't all give to all things all the time. It's very true. We're all struggling right now, but it's because we're struggling right now, we put it out there for the universe, and the universe always multiplies. So I do really, truly invite you to think about it. And I also just want to drop a couple little seeds, because this time in 2026, something fabulous, absolutely outstanding, incredibly fun is happening. My dear friend Dean Thulner Vajalczyk, I'm sure I've said the last part of his name wrong. I've never been able to pronounce it, but you've seen him on my show many times. Dean is doing something in our community that is going to be quite glittering. Think about glitter for 2026 in September. More will come over the next few months. Once again, thanks for tuning in to Act 3 on CHLY 101.7. I'm going to return to my guest, Lila Perry. Oh my gosh. I'm so delighted that I had an opportunity to meet you in this way. I think that people need to understand that cancer needs to be spoken about. We
It
need
absolutely
to
does.
we need to talk about it. We need to take some of the charged energy that goes with it and realize just how many people that are sitting beside us on the bus or, at work or whatever, that very much like yourself, didn't want to share anything about it in those early days, right? And
Yes.
really, when it came to ringing the bell, you didn't want to ring the bell,
Oh,
right?
I know.
You passed it. There's something to be said about celebrating the reason why you're here. And maybe the reason
Yeah,
that you are here is to bring ripple effects, health and wellness to the fruition, to the platform.
absolutely.
Where do you see yourself going with this, Lila? I love this so much.
Well, I really do want to raise money to help people that are in need, but I also want to be able to help people get the support that they need because
Yes.
I've been through it. I can talk about it. I can tell you how I dealt with it. Um, but I think everybody really needs to be responsible for the choices that they're making.
Yes.
Everybody needs to take care of their health. And I'm more than interested to help people learn about their food, learn about the ingredients that are in these foods and what happens in your system when you're eating these foods. And you look at a lot of people that are obese and people say, oh, they just eat way too much. No, they're just eating empty calories. We need good, solid, nutritious food to help us all live a happier, healthier life. And that feeds our brains as well. And that's what we all need.
And there's something to be said for the convenience foods, and I'm guilty of it, right? I have more than one job.
Absolutely.
I run this show, do the television program, I write for a magazine, all those things. I never have the time to do,
Yes.
but what I have learned to do over time is, especially because of prednisone. Prednisone was vicious to my body, vicious, vicious, vicious. It is
Yes.
a perfect, perfect anecdote for what you need when you need it on the short term. There is simply nothing better. Prednisone
Yes.
has a place, but it does wreak with your havoc if you've been on it for a long time. And in my case, it took a long time for my body to
Yes.
adjust and come off of it. But at the end of the day, what I learned is, maybe I can't cook every single night, but I can cook a really great meal a couple of days a week and then break it down into portions and pop it in
Yes.
the freezer so that if I'm going to reach for that convenience, at least I'm reaching for my own home cooking, right?
Right.
As
Right.
opposed to something that comes in a package or a box or something
Yes.
like that. Yes?
It's funny with me, like if I'm out and about, if I see someone walking around with a cup that they got from McDonald's or Tim Hortons, I'm thinking, oh my God, don't drink out of those cups. I mean, they're full of chemicals and you're putting a hot drink into them. Or I see people with plastic water bottles and it's get a proper water bottle. Don't use the plastic ones. Like my brain just goes there. Or I go to Costco and I'm looking in everybody's cart and I want to stop and say, excuse me, can I talk to you, please? It's not my business. But it's like in my soul. That's what I want to do. I want to help people learn and understand so that they never, ever, ever get diagnosed with cancer or type 2 diabetes or anything or heart disease. We can all take charge of that.
Agreed.
And
So
people
now,
point with Kellogg's and
ah,
say, you know, they should put better, don't buy it. Just don't buy it. And they will start to make better products.
absolutely. So listen, how do people reach you? How do people find you so they can donate to Ripple Effects for Health and Wellness?
Well, they can go onto my Facebook page,
Okay.
Ripple Effects for Health and Wellness, and you can certainly donate there. You just have to put your name in all on the bottom, and it goes directly into the bank account. I don't have to do a thing. You could do it monthly, you could do it quarterly, whatever works for you, but it would be so, so appreciated. I do have a website
Hmm.
that I'm working on. I'll
Hmm.
tell you,
In
this
progress.
technology thing is really difficult for somebody that was a baker because I've never learned to type. I never knew computers. Like, I tell you, this has been a rude awakening. But when you're on a shoestring,
You learn.
this is what you do.
You
And I've
betcha.
learned a lot from all of my mistakes and from, the research I've done on cancer and all of that. It's learning, learning, learning all the time. And that's what we all need to do.
Absolutely. So, Ripple Effects for Health and Wellness, you can find on Facebook. Just look
Yes,
it up and you can make a donation right there.
yes.
Perfect.
Or they could go on to my personal one. It's very small. I'm not very good at posting or the pictures or anything like that, but I'm
You know what?
working
That's
on it.
okay. Let's just send people to Ripple Effects for Health and Wellness on Facebook,
Yes,
and what I'll do for the YouTube channel is I'll just put the link in it right there so that people can just
perfect.
click it right off the link.
That would be
It has
wonderful.
been absolutely a pleasure to have you on the program today. Thank you so
Thank you
much for
so much.
being here. I'm just it what a treat it has been to have this conversation. Unfortunately, that sort of does it for this episode of Act 3 on CHLY 101.7 FM. I hope you guys all have an absolutely ridiculously spectacular day. Think about what you're having for lunch today and what you're having for dinner today.
Yes,
Talk to people if you're not sure about things and reach out to Lila Perry at on her Facebook page.
absolutely. I'd love to answer the questions.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again, everybody. For now, have a great day. We'll see you next time on Act 3.